You're all set?
Okay, great. Thank you. So welcome to the Emergency Preparedness Keep On Teaching webinar. My name is Madalena Parker, and Erin Gibson is my colleague. We work for Technology and Learning. So obviously, seeing this picture, we know that we are in an area that has fires, has earthquakes, as well as road closures, flooding, mudslides. So we just want to be proactive and make sure that our faculty and students are prepared if we do have another campus closure. So first and foremost, we need to make sure that we're communicating with our students and our community. We need to make sure that we're adding course content so that faculty can still keep teaching and students keep learning. Okay, there's also what we're doing right now is having a synchronous live session using Zoom. Also, we can collect student work, provide students assignments, all while being at different locations, whether it be locally or basically all over the world. So in this webinar, you're going to see some questions that we're going to answer. And these questions are from numerous faculty members that post questions when we sent out the webinar RSVP. And please do stop me at any time if you do have any questions. We also have some time at the end to go over some questions. And I know you mentioned, Brian, that you may have to leave early, which is fine. We can always circle around and reconnect and finish up anything that you may miss.
That's wonderful. Thank you very much for doing this, by the way. I appreciate it.
Yes, no problem. Thanks for joining us. And yes.
Is it just me? I didn't look at the participants.
It is. It's actually just my colleague Erin and I. So he's going to be filling the chat. And then we actually did have another RSVP or two, but you know, we know things always come up, especially during lunch hour. So we're trying to offer these frequently and you know, also offer one-on-one consultation. So you know, even if we're just meeting with people one at a time, that's fine by us. It's worthwhile.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you very much for doing it. I guess since it's only me, in addition to you and Aaron, I will let you know if I do have to step out so you can keep recording it for whoever needs it, but just so you know. So
Okay,
thank you very much, Nellie. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. And like I said, please do, especially since this is more one-on-one, stop me at any time if you want me to, you know, dive deeper into something that we're covering. All right, so communication. I'm not sure if you're aware that, you know, via your Pepperdine Google email, Gmail, you're able to email your students with the distribution list. So you would just need to go ahead and type in the name of your course. Do be cautious to make sure that it's the current term. So as you can see, when this is going up, you see fall 2018, and then we would want to select spring 2019. But this is a way you can communicate just using your email, and all your students would receive this via their email.
That's great to know. Thank you.
Yes. Here we have Google Hangouts Meet, which, you know, sometimes can be used as office hours as well. This also, you can, you know, add a Hangouts Meet, and you also would be able to add guests the same way you just did in the email with the distribution list. So you can post announcements in the LMS in courses as well. If you do post an announcement, it will automatically send to students via email. Even if they opt out, you can select to send to everyone. So obviously, if it was an emergency situation, you can, you know, still reach those students that had opted out to receive an email and announcements, which is a great feature that you can override that. Okay. There's also a messages tool via courses. This is sent via email. Sometimes people can maybe misunderstand that and think that it might be an actual text message, but it is not. It is just another way that you can send through courses, and it is an actual email. Some people prefer to use messages because, as you can see here, you can see all the folders, and if you do announcements, you would just see it posted as announcements. So you wouldn't be able to see here if you received any messages. And actually in announcements, students can't reply. It wouldn't be like in that thread, they would be replying to your email. But here, if they reply, you would actually be able to see that here. So again, this just walks you through, as with all of the tools, when you're sending any sort of message, it will tell you step by step what you need to do. So you would just follow the steps or the prompts. Any questions with just first and foremost communicating immediately with your students?
I use the announcements tool frequently. I've never used the messages tool. I might have to start doing that. So on that last slide, would I kind of by default just have it CC to their email addresses in addition to going out by email typically, just to be safe?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Looks good. Thank you. I'll give that a try.
Yeah, and this is more, I'm not sure, Erin, if you want to, add anything, but it's really just a preference. I know a lot of the faculty I meet with just exclusively use announcements as well. But, some individuals might, like that everything is nested within courses, like in those folders, so they may want to use messages.
Yeah, I'm going to have to give that a try. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. So we're going to move on to course content. So we have the lessons tool, and we actually have a lessons tool webinar coming up next month. So if you're not familiar with the lessons tool and are able to attend, that would be great. Because again, today is just more of an overview of what you have available to you, and then we offer webinars that dive deeper into, in this case, lessons tool, or really dive deep into how to use Zoom or some of the other tools in courses.
Sure, I'll keep an eye open. Thank you.
Yes, definitely. And even if you can't attend, we can always send you the recorded session webinar as well. So with
great, thanks.
No problem. So with the lessons tool, you can add videos, you can add documents, journal articles, you can post your syllabus. You can basically use the lessons tool and incorporate all the other tools if you'd like as well. So you don't have to have separate modules. Excuse me. So, Erin, can you touch base what this class communication form is?
Oh, no, that was just an example of the lessons tool, some of the formatting options, how it can be different, just buttons, and so how you can format a module. Okay,
I'm sorry. I thought this was a different form, so I apologize about that. So as Erin just mentioned, you can pretty much set the lessons tool however you'd like. So here it has a getting started, syllabus, quiz, whatnot. Some people like to have, like day one, like let's say we know we're going to have 3 days that we're not going to be able to be on campus. So you might want to break it up like that. And like I said, embed different tools. So that's an option in lessons. Here it's broken up by different modules. So here it says week 1, week 2, and then module 2 has the same week 1 and 2, but then it also has a lessons tool midterm there. So again, this is really your preference, but if you want to learn more about the lessons tool or just understand how to link these different assignments or quizzes, videos, PDFs, just attend that session or go ahead and reach out to us so we can have a one-on-one consultation. So Zoom is our newest tool, our web conferencing tool, and this is what you would want to use if you wanted to have live instruction, especially if you have, more than 50 participants, which is what the max is for Google Meet. So Zoom live instruction allows you to have up to 100 participants right now. I'm not exactly sure when, but your pro license, which are university-wide, we all have a pro license, will accommodate up to 300 participants within the next couple of months. But we're not exactly sure when they're going to make that available. But in the meantime, we do have participants we do have a couple licenses that would allow up to 500 participants. So one question that came in was, what commonly goes wrong with Zoom meetings that I could learn to troubleshoot? So, if 2 people are in a Zoom session and it's going live and it's going well, that means that, it is not anything wrong with the platform. It would actually be a user's device or, error on their end. So what I would recommend if you were planning a live synchronous session, I would just ask students to log into the link, test to make sure if they're using the mobile app that they have the app downloaded. certainly test your audio and video prior to that start time of, 7 p.m. So I touched base on this already, but how can I host a meeting with more than 100 students? Again, our pro licenses within the next couple months, I believe, will go up to 300. But in the meantime, if you ever did need to reach more than 100 or even more than 300, we would be able to let you use one of our licenses that allow up to 500 participants. So this was a question that many faculty members had when we did have the closures. I believe some students did, leave the United States and went home because it was a longer period of time. So yes, Zoom can be used internationally. If it's just a day closure, then probably nobody's going to be leaving, going home internationally. But there are other ways. If students can't access Zoom internet in certain locations, then you would want to just focus on, using courses or some of the other, resources that we've already introduced or that we will be going over. With Zoom signing on, it's pretty straightforward. Can I ask you, Brian, have you set up your Zoom account?
Yes, I have. I use Zoom. I teach a couple online courses through the law school, and I have the app downloaded. That's how I was able to get in, and it was really convenient. I just did it through my Google Calendar. You sent that really helpful link, and I pretty much just followed the prompts, and it was great. So I don't know if that's because I have the account or not, but yes, so to my knowledge, I think I have every part of it set up, I think.
Yeah, well, yeah, if you're, using it and do you notice that did you go through the Pepperdine.Zoom?
For today's meeting, yeah, I followed the Google Calendar link, and then, yeah, initially when I was setting up for the online and then for the closures last year, I believe it was through Pepperdine.Zoom.
Okay, so we can make sure that you have enabled your pro license. So Erin actually spearheads that.
Yeah, and I'm like 99% sure, but
okay,
I guess I know for sure. Thanks.
All right, sounds good. So obviously this, we'll just quickly go through, but so you would go to pepperdine.zoom.us and sign in, and then it would take you to a case, and you would just enter your credentials, your Pepperdine credentials, and then you would go into your account. So you seem pretty savvy with Zoom, but if you do want to have a more in-depth, like just going over some of your meeting settings, then, we can reach out to you or we can have another consultation. But basically, this is where you would go to set up meetings. And then once you schedule your meetings, you would just go ahead and send those links to your students. So you seem like you've already gone through that. So how do students join a meeting, and do they need to do anything in advance? So just like you did, once you have that Zoom launcher on your device, then you would just click on the meeting link that is sent to you. I believe you said that you had to leave your desktop, so then if you have your Zoom app, you can just click on, you can enter the meeting ID, or you can just access it through the app. And obviously that you can call in or join by your computer audio as well. So really, students don't need to do anything in advance other than making sure that if they're using a mobile device, that they have the app downloaded, or if they are using a laptop or a desktop, then they would have to download the launcher just one initial time, and then they would be good to go. So obviously, that there is the built-in phone line. We do want to just, let faculty know that yes, there are, phone numbers, and they do let you know to dial by location, but they're not toll-free numbers. So, I don't know if that would be an issue with anyone, but they should note that. So an alternate route would be just to use the mobile app. So 3 ways to schedule a meeting: the website, the desktop app, or the Google Calendar, if the optional extension has been added. So I'm not sure if you have done that yet, but it makes scheduling within your calendar very easy and convenient, because then you can send that distribution list. So through the website.
Is that just a pretty straightforward Google search to add it onto the Google Calendar feature?
Yes, if you would just go to the Chrome store and just type in Zoom scheduler, And yes, and you'll be able to download it instantly. And then in a moment, I'll show you how you actually would create a Zoom meeting once you have that add-on in your calendar. So here we have the website. Obviously, schedule a meeting, and then follow the prompts. If you do have this desktop app, you would just hover over and find the Zoom icon, and then select schedule a meeting. And here's the neat calendar with the Chrome extension. So as I did for today's meeting, I just wrote, the title of the webinar, and then instead of adding the location, I now get that option that says make it a Zoom meeting. So once I select make it a Zoom meeting, in the body of the calendar invite or the calendar, it will make the same meeting that it would if you were doing it in the desktop app or if you were doing it on the website. So it provides the URL, the meeting ID, the phone numbers, etc. But the unique thing with this is over here, if you hover to add guest, you can still grab that distribution list. So this is doing everything in one spot and not having to create a meeting, copy the link, or even forward that link through email distribution or any other way. So this is just a one-stop shop that has been very convenient and useful to our team. So very important is when participants enter the Zoom meeting, you have the authority to mute all if you are the host. It's not difficult for students to unmute themselves, but many times, and I've been in a meeting and probably one that didn't realize I didn't have my microphone muted and my dog's barking and maybe there's background noise, I have a TV on. So if you go to participants, you have the option, as you can see here, just to go to participants and then mute all. And this will just mute everyone. However, it will not mute yourself. So the host does not get muted, but you would mute everyone, and then you can ask students to easily unmute themselves by just hovering over the audio or the microphone, and then once they click that one time, it unmutes themselves. So share screen. Let me do this question first. How do I switch between PowerPoint, Excel, and the whiteboard? So basically, once you go to share screen, which we'll look at in a moment, anything that you have already open on your, whether one monitor or two, you will see when you go to share screen. So you can easily select a PowerPoint if you've already opened that, or you can select an Excel file, whiteboard, and then if you wanted to share, toggle from PowerPoint to Excel, you would just stop share, and then you would have that Excel open, and then click that. So do be cautious of not having too many items open. It's better to just have what you think you're going to be using open. Now, if, for some reason you have to pull up a file that you weren't planning on it, you can also do that in real time by just sharing and then, then going to your files and pull it up. But we do recommend anything that you're planning on presenting during your live session, that you have it ready to go, and then, close the files that you won't be using. So as I mentioned, share screen, TechLearn's screen, we have a desktop 2 open and then a Google Chrome. So anything that you have open, you can access it here. So you do see that you have the whiteboard, and also, the ability, if you wanted to, share your iPhone or iPad, you either have to do that through cable or AirPlay. So what is the best PC Mac software to use to enable real-time drawing and mathematical equation writing with Zoom? So you would want to use the the whiteboard feature. It works best if you do have a touch screen and have a stylus, but even if you are using, a mouse, you would be able to solve something like this. But again, I've tested this with one of our adjuncts, and she used her Surface with her stylus, and it worked well. So sharing files. Obviously, you can share your screen and project the file, but the only way that you can actually share a file with your students would be during chat. So you would open up your chat, and then when you go to more, share file and meeting. But be cautious that if a participant was not in the meeting when you shared a file or files, then he or she would not have access to those files. So you have to actually be logged in the session when those files are shared. So best practice would be, if it is an Excel file that you want them to open while you're, teaching, in case they need to add something, you'd want to send it at the beginning, but then keep, kind of a visual if anyone is joining the session after you've already sent it, or if it's a file that they don't need to, use while you're presenting, then just wait until towards the end of your session and share it then. Plus, if you set the expectations that, the file or the presentation I'm going to be giving will become available to you at the end of the session. So you want to make sure that you hang in there for that entire duration so that you can access that file at a later time. The recordings, we're recording this session right now. So you simply, as the host or co-host, you have the option to record. And once you select record, it will ask you to record either onto your computer or record to the cloud. If you record on your computer, it might take up a lot of space depending on how large or how long the meeting was. So you can, once it's recorded to your computer, you can always just upload it to Google Drive and share it with your students that way, if that's, an option, and then you can remove it from your actual device. Or if you record to the cloud, after the meeting finishes, you will receive a link to your email with a unique URL that is the recorded meeting. So if you were going to record to the cloud, then you could either share that in an email distribution list. You can post it to your site for participants to reference at a future time. And breakout rooms, this is a more advanced feature, and definitely it would be something that we would want to practice, get a few of our team members on a Zoom meeting and have you kind of test it out with us. But basically when you go to breakout rooms, you'll see that it will default based on how many participants there are, and then kind of link it to a room. So you can change how many rooms you want. So if you, let's say, had 10 participants and you only wanted there to be 2 rooms, you could keep it at 2. But if you wanted there to be 3 rooms, then it would, divide them up automatically, 4 in 1 room, 3 in 3. If you chose automatically. If you wanted to manually have students go to specific rooms, then you would just drag and drop them into those rooms. But again, the automatic one is very easy and quick to use. The manual one, depending on how many students you have, can be kind of tedious, and you don't want to take away from the precious time that you have them in the live session. Once you select how many rooms, and if you do want to keep it automatically, all you do is simply select create breakout rooms. Once they're created, you'll see how many students are in each, and then you'll open all rooms. And this is what it would look like. In this case, it's student A is now entering a breakout room. One thing I want to mention about the breakout rooms too is Zoom has a unique feature in their breakout rooms tool. You're able to actually ask the host for help. So if Erin and I are in a room and we need to ask you a question, we have that option to ask the facilitator or the host a question. So the host would get a notification saying student A in breakout room 1 has asked for you to join the room. And then you can either join it immediately, or you can finish your conversation in one room and then go to that room. So you're able to toggle from room to room. But that's a really nice feature. Some other web conferencing platforms don't have that. And you don't want students to be sitting in a room and not be able to talk for 10 minutes because they have a question. So student work. One question that came is do we have a way to administer quizzes online? Of course we do. We can add testing quizzes in courses. This is a tool that, is pretty, it can be, I guess, a little robust, but if you wanted to just, do a basic chapter test or quiz, you would just follow the prompts. We also have faculty guides on our website that go through step by step by step how you would be able to create a test or a quiz online and allow students to access that. So there's also the forums tool, discussions in courses. If you wanted to, I guess, kind of assess how, if they're keeping up with their reading, you can add, questions here and make sure that they're contributing to online class discussion. Again, this can become engaging and it can be interactive as long as you set up expectations that students need to, post an initial response, reply to 2 classmates, and obviously we would want the faculty member to be in the conversation as well. So if you want students to be collaborating, if they have group work that they should have been working on during class, but they're unable to, obviously, you can add a Google Doc and, either upload it there or maybe just a fresh doc and have them distribute it to who it should go to. Make sure if you want them to be able to edit that you give them editing privileges. And also students can do this student to student as well. But if you wanted to be, have access to whatever it is the students are collaborating on, then you would want to start that initial Google Doc. Okay. So we'd want to make sure you bookmark all of these URLs. It's something that I can send to you after this session as well. But we do have...
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Okay, yes, I'm happy to. So we do have the, emergency preparedness website. We have a emergency teaching website as well. And then Dr. Hurd actually from Seaver College developed a Keep Teaching with some pointers and tips and tricks. And then our, one-on-one consultation form is always available for all faculty at all the different schools and campuses, to offer support for any of the tools we briefly went over today, or even anything more in depth that one would want covered. So hopefully, you're prepared to communicate, add course content, deliver live instruction, and provide students not only with work, but also be able to assess them in real time. So any questions? I know it was kind of a lot to cover, and I tried to go a little quicker just to be sensitive of your time.
Yeah, thank you so much for doing that. I appreciate this webinar. You still been willing to do it with a one-on-one. It was a really terrific refresher. And just, I think I know the answer to this, but just in case, I teach through the 2PEP system and everything like that for the online courses. And the old system had like an integrated quizzes and not a survey. Yeah, I guess like a survey thing. That's not in Zoom, correct? That would have to be through courses proper.
So Zoom doesn't have a survey. They do have, or even a testing quizzes feature, but they do have a polling feature that if that's something during the live session you wanted to do a polling. But if you don't have access to, you said in 2PEP you can't use quiz. You said you don't have a survey or...
Oh, I do use Zoom. Polling is the right word. I just couldn't remember if Zoom had polling integrated into it or not.
Yes, it does. So we can schedule a time to meet and we can, go over that, because we actually do also have a Zoom training that really does focus more on just Zoom and its tools. So it's up to you. If you want to stay on the call now, I can get rid of this, get off of this PowerPoint and just go into kind of, I guess, a Zoom tutorial of polling.
No, that's okay. I'll play with it a little bit to see if I can explore the future, and then I'll set up an appointment if I need some assistance on that. Just really good to know that it does have it. So thank you. I appreciate that.
It does. The one thing though that you have to be cautious about with polling is you have to create the poll beforehand. So you can't do that live. So if you wanted to do a generic, like yes, no, like just to assess in real time and move forward, then you'd want to do that. But if you know what your presentation is going to be on, obviously, then you'd want to set up a polling based on that presentation by like chunking throughout, like, and putting in some polls within that, then you would want to set that up beforehand. And then in the live session, you can just click on polling and select which poll you want to, share. And then students would be able to poll, or excuse me, to take the poll once it's launched. So I have some documentation as well. But again, it would be something that I would recommend, even if you play around with it, reaching out to myself or someone on our team just to test it out. It's pretty intuitive, but again, you want to make sure that it's good to go when you launch it in real time, in real life. So we're here to support you and kind of test it with you. And I would recommend same with Breakout Rooms.
Terrific. Yeah, I do have a little bit of experience with Breakout Rooms that I could always use more practice. So that's perfect. I vaguely remember something about doing it beforehand in my onboarding. So thank you so much for that refresher. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Well, we appreciate you taking the time to join us today, and we look forward to working with you and having you join other sessions that we'll be offering.
Absolutely. Thank you, Natalie. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Have a good afternoon.
You too. Thanks. Bye-bye.
All right. Go ahead and stop the recording.